ain't going back. Not gonna buy into all that. Hey, hey, ain't gonna hide. Gonna let all the fears slide. Got Mother Nature is on my side. Got all of the loving growing inside.
All right, hello everyone. I want to start this particular video by letting everyone know our event is official. Campbell and I, Practical Evolution for Life, October 6th, 7th, and 8th, Port St. Lucie, Florida. The details will be below. We have an event page up. The link for that will be below as well. If you have any questions, suggestions, of course, if you wish to join us, we are setting it up for 80 participants per day to keep it intimate, to keep it real, and to allow us to share a lot of what we're going to share today, Practical Evolution for Life. And today's topic, inside out, how you need to go inside in order to get out. So today we'll talk about what the inside means, what the out means, and some of the practical ways that Campbell and I have figured these bits out for ourselves so we can share them with you. Hey, Campbell.
How you going, Lorenzo? Yes, inside out. The way in or the way out is in, as they say. So what does this mean? I mean, what I guess, to start with, it means don't follow the leader, right? If you're going through life and the way that you're trying to get, out of your situation, out of whatever, if that's taking other people's advice and following them around, then you're just going to be going in circles. Because obviously, if you follow someone, you're being led.
Mm.
Right? You're being led somewhere. And this is the thing. So we need to go inside and find out who we are and what we want to do, what experiences we want or feel that we're here to do, and follow ourselves. And that way we're on.
Yeah, and that way we end up exactly where we want to be, no matter what it is that you do. You can see. Yeah, you froze a little bit there.
Sorry. I just said the big part is to take responsibility on your path.
Yeah. So what I love very much, and something that just hit me, and I want to talk about intent and intuition and imagination, is the different but same way Campbell and I seem to cover the topics. He's very accurate and correct in saying, if you don't understand where you want to go, if you don't understand yourself, if you're following someone else, you can never get out to where you would like to be, because you're going to only end up where someone else wants you to be, whether it's a politician or your parents or your friends. It really doesn't matter. If you're following someone else, then you'll get where they're going, not where you wish to go. And that's, on a practical side of things, everyone can understand that. Now, if we get to the esoteric side of things, and the practical evolution of things, I've seen for myself, and I seem to feel that it's true for everyone, is we make our reality as well. And that we create our day-to-day, we create our experiences. Campbell and I have chatted about this before. If you change your perspective, your outside world changes. So really, if you want to get out of wherever you are, the reason we're saying inside out is you need to see how you got to where you are by your own hands, right? How you got to where you are by your own desires, your own intent, your own imagination, and what you're trying to get out of. You have to know what you're trying to get out of before you can get out of it. It's a simple thing. You have to know what the bars of your cage are made of before you can take them down. You have to know what your challenges are before you can get over your challenges. You have to know what you need and what you need to give before you can do any of those things. So you really got to figure that out for yourself. And I have found that it seems to me that that's what's hidden from the vast majority of people that are talking about getting out of the matrix, talking about getting free, talking about personal evolution, talking about anything that you may require more or less of, in the fact that you are making this more or less. And that is already coming from your inside out, your beliefs, your promises. Campbell and I have talked about this, your desires, your limitations and your excesses and your habits and your lack thereof, whether you're aware of these things or not. You keep making your reality. So without going inside and seeing how you're making what you want to get out of, you're going to keep making it. It doesn't matter where you are or who you're spending time with, because you're doing it. And if you keep doing it and you don't not do it, you're going to keep doing it. Mm-hmm. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. And everyone knows I like my sayings and my idioms. And, one that we've all heard is, doing the same thing and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity, right? But we all tend to do it, right? Some of us have done it for decades. But there's also this, I believe that we're all energy, right? We're all light. So we have this saying, light being. And, obviously people are like, at the moment, there's a big thing, I'm a light being. These people who think they've come to save other people. But it's an interesting word, right? Because we can be a light being or we can be being light. Difference there.
Yeah, and it's very important. A little bit, yeah. Being light, or a light being, it's true.
Light being or being light. So what's the difference there? Like one's external, right? One's like, oh, look, that's a light being. And the other one is you're just being yourself. You're being the light inside yourself. And that's how we evolve. That's being, putting yourself out there. I just want to tell just a quick story is Lorenzo and I were having a chat with some of the people going through our online course, and a lady told us this little story. And this is just to illustrate it's simple. It don't have to be big gestures. You don't have to be out there changing the world, all this stuff. But basically, she just went to a shop. She was having a fairly good day. It was Friday, and she got there, almost at closing time, and she was talking to the worker, and the worker was all annoyed. On Friday she was trying to, clean up and get home early, and basically was a bit rude to her. And so this lady sort of went, oh, okay, went back to her car, but then she stopped and she thought, well, I don't want to leave it like that. I don't want to create, a bad situation or bad energy. I want to go and change that. I want to be the light. I want to be being light. I don't want to, then walk, instead of, you could go down and say, well, I could have done this, and pretend all this. But she went back and she, explained, she said, look, how are you going? I just want to let you know, I know you've had a hard week and a hard day and it's Friday and blah, blah, blah. And basically, they ended up having a conversation and laughing, and she left it with love, right? With light. Now, she just changed reality. She just changed. That's how simple it is, right? She could have left it, and the lady from the store would probably have gone home in a worse mood, maybe yelled at her kids, ignored her husband, and it would have set off this chain of events, right? And the same with herself. But she went and she transmuted that energy. And so they both left that with good energy, which would have created more good things. So this is how you change reality. Right? And that's so I really enjoyed that story, and because it shows how it's so simple. But what it is we've got to choose to do it, and then we've got to do it. We've got to take the action, because a lot of people will be saying, well, that's not hard. But if you were sitting in your car, would you get out and go back to the situation and change it? That's where the courage comes in.
Yeah, and it is simple, but it's also very, very difficult in that, part of this exploration going on the inside out is without darkness, there can't be light. Without dark and light, there can't be shadow. Those are just scientific ways of seeing things, right? If it's not dark, you're not going to see the light. If everything's light, you won't notice the light. If everything's dark, you won't notice, the light either. So you kind of need both. And to relate that to the story, you have to, understand your own darkness. Maybe you've seen for 100 years, everyone's horrible, or you've seen that the world sucks. Maybe she has a belief system, this lady, or as I have, that, everyone's nasty, everyone's trying to get you, everyone's mean, everyone just looking out for themselves, or no one is ever nice, or because of the current situation, the jabs or the jibs or the this or the that or the anything else, everyone's horrible. But if you understand yourself, you go inside and you see, wait a minute, as Campbell said, I've had this belief for 20 years, and every time I have an interaction with someone, my result is horrible, right? So to change yourself, doing the same thing, it could be as a matter of being polite or not being polite, but then if you take it back to yourself, maybe you can understand why you're expecting, let's say, everyone to be not polite, why you're expecting a bad reaction, why you have the pains inside, which is making you sensitive to someone. I've seen plenty of times where I'll read an email and I'll get angry. I'll go, oh, I can't believe this person was being so mean and rude to me. And, and I'm going to write and, take a step back, and you go read the same email an hour later and you go, wait a minute. There was nothing rude in there. There was nothing strange in there. There was nothing insulting in there. That was just me. See, there's no one in the room when you're reading an email. And I've had that experience before. I go, oh, that person, F. But I had to go inside and go, wait a minute. I'm having a hard day, or I'm expecting to lose some money, to lose a customer, to get a bad interaction with a lady I'm chasing or a friend. It doesn't really matter, but it was me expecting the world to be a certain way by my own belief system, which you can take back as far as you want to, delve inside, go all the way in, back to when you were 2, if you like, or even before, and figure out why you are the way you are. And that will change because the next time you have an interaction and someone's rude with you, like this lady, and you say, wait a minute, I've had enough of a rude life and it's my responsibility. It's not like she's rude, too bad for her. I can't believe this world still sucks. See, and then you go home and you tell Martha and you tell Billy and you tell Sally about the hard day you had and how everyone's still horrible. Or, you go back and you make the kind of reality you want to live in. And even if that lady was rude back to this lady, she was nice, she had a good interaction. The other lady, picked up the feeling and shared it back with her, so it increased the vibration. But even if that lady didn't respond in kindness, and I've had that, even if she went, say you've had a hard day and the lady still told her to F off, that's your next challenge then, right? Like, do you still want to be a loving being? Do you still want to be light as in not heavy in this situation? Because sometimes that's the challenge, right? The world goes, oh, you're being polite and this person's still being an a-hole. How about now? Do you still want to be a being of light, or are you ready to go back to being the way you used to be? So, the interactions go both ways, but the bottom line is, in both circumstances, you have to go inside in order to get out, because you have to understand yourself in order to become something different as you would like to become.
It's almost like the universe always gives us an easy way out before we have to make a decision, doesn't it? It's like you said, you can go up and they can be rude to you again, and you can be right. See, I was right. Everyone does suck. Rah, rah, rah. But that's just, you're back in the same position. You didn't learn. So this is the thing. We don't get to choose the results.
Right.
We get to choose our action, but we don't get to choose the results. And this is even when we're, manifesting stuff that we want for ourselves. It never comes out the exact way you want it. You'll get the same feelings and emotions, but as far as it looks, it's different. But so this is the thing. If it all comes back to us and the way that we are acting, or, we don't want to react, but the way that we're acting in our interactions. So being the light means being that light, being that love, being, light, buoyant, whatever it is, radiating good energy all the time, no matter what your response is. We hear about all these stories about, the prophets and all these kind of people from religious texts. And that, this is what we see, right? They're the same no matter what reaction they're getting. Like Jesus, it's the story of Jesus, he's on the cross. Please forgive them, Father. They don't know what they're doing. So this is the thing. The interaction is all about us. And this is the big thing, is we can't change other people. We just can't. And so many people try and
change other people. And that is almost, if not fully, impossible. To grasp whatever is in there and out there and to see how someone is or someone isn't. You've come back, changing other people.
Sorry, I'm back. Did I freeze?
You did. So changing other people, that's where we left off.
So you can't change anyone else but yourself. All you can change is yourself, and you don't have the right to change anyone else. And people love to do that. They think to change the world is you got to change other people. To change my reality, everyone else has to change what they're doing. But then you walk up to these people and tell them to change, and I'm offended. That's the worst thing. Don't tell me to change. How dare you? So it's very interesting. That's the only way we can change, is ourselves. And we see this every day. We get all this feedback that we can't change other people, but we keep trying to do it. So like I say often, when you've got these problems, just go to a mirror. Just go to a mirror. Talk to yourself. Don't try and talk to anyone else and change them. Go to a mirror and try and change yourself.
And I want to be very clear with something here. It's not about being moral. It's not about being a nice person. It's not about being a good person. It's not about being your definition of Jesus to not change other people. It's literally a practical. That's why this course is called Practical Evolution. If you just change yourself, your life will change. If you're looking for a better world, if you're looking for a better community, if you're looking for, a happier existence, if you're looking for better people to relate to, more abundance, more currency, increased health, love, vitality, all of those things, they're not going to come from changing other people. That's the misdirection that this world gives you. If everyone changes, if the politicians change, if they change the rules, if they increase my salary, if they lower my taxes, if this person is more caring and loving and gives me 3 presents a year instead of 2 presents a year, if I have more time off or less time off, nothing's going to change. The outside outside circumstances may look a little easier. They may bomb you for a moment. They may give you a momentary lapse of peace, by someone saying, "Oh, you're actually great," when they told you, you were horrible the other day. But as you create your reality, if you change yourself, everything on the outside will, if you allow it. And as Campbell said, don't expect a reaction. Don't expect it's going to be the same people. Don't expect it's going to be the same job or the same circumstance, or even your same definition of abundance may change. Your definition of abundance may simply be you need less. So suddenly whatever you have is worth 100 times more. Right? If $1 can buy you 10 things, let's say, or it can buy you 5 things, or if you no longer need 10 things, maybe you only need 2 things in your life because you don't need the fancy sports car, you've done the changing. So your abundance, by cutting out what is unrequired for honest, let's say, happiness, love, abundance, freedom, will somehow allow more into your life. I mean, you may get more, but that's what I mean by intent and imagination. If you imagine a better life, and you imagine higher levels of existence for yourself, in an energetic fashion, you require an inner change, because if you take responsibility for your life, you will see, or you can see, that everything around you is your responsibility. You've made your entire life, in toto, as they say, fully as how you are and where you are and who you are, right from your health, right from the people you're interacting with, right from the children you've made, in my opinion, right from the relationships you have, everything you brought to yourself for you to understand yourself, so that as you do, and you see, if you do, the requirements of your own personal evolution and the requirements of your own change, you may find that you have different results coming your way because you've become different.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's, if like Lorenzo said, if you want to change your reality, you've got to change your actions, and that's what it comes down to. You've got to put something different out, and that something different has to be you. This is, and we have all these conversations. We talk to all these people, and everyone's going around reacting, and we know you talk to people, and they're not listening to you. They're either trying to think of their response, or they're thinking of their day at work, or whatever. And so what you get from them is a reaction. And that reaction is generally, 99.9% of the time, it's someone else's opinion from a book or the news or someone they spoke to. They're just repeating what's already on the outside. So what does that mean? You're going to get the same result every single time, right? Because we're just repeating. So to change reality, you need to put something different out there. And we've all seen this as well in a conversation, and someone says something from left field and the conversation stops. Everyone's like, what? And that's how you change. That's literally how you change reality. It's that simple. Be present. Make sure that you're talking, from your heart and giving out who you really are, and a general response. And I got this when I saw went and met with a local Aboriginal elder. They consider all the words. They don't respond. Am I frozen?
No, I'm just listening. It's interesting.
They don't respond. Like when you ask them a question, it's not like oh, blah blah blah. They sit there and they think, and then they speak slowly, and you know that they're considering all the words. Like they're talking from their hearts. And when they do that, it all goes silent, and everyone focuses on them, because something's happening, right? And how often do we just don't see that in society in general? Everyone's just repeating. Like I said, what is already in the outside world. And so all that can do is more of what's already in the outside world. So to change reality, bring your insides out, right? Bring your inner wisdom, your inner perspective, and give it to the world. And as soon as you do that, you've changed the world.
I mean, consider this, everyone, if you like to. Light means 2 things, right? Light means light, as in you turn the light on, there's more light. But light also means the opposite of heavy. So what happens in this world when things are light? It goes higher, it floats, goes to a higher level of vibration, a higher, perspective. So imagine what are those elders doing? Maybe, and I've seen this for myself, they're looking at the entire perspective. They're getting the big picture of life. They're seeing, who are they talking to? Why are they talking to this person? What are they looking for? What's important to them? What is freedom for them? Is freedom like a social happiness where 72 people tell you how fantastic you are? Or maybe the elders are looking to bring dream time back. Maybe they want to see a higher perspective just for themselves. And they go, well, I used to be angry in this situation, so now I'm going to calm down and I won't be angry. Maybe who knows what when you look into your heart, you'll see what your heart is really asking for. So perhaps your heart isn't asking for a happy social situation. Maybe your heart is asking for, some more time under a tree. So if you're with somebody and they're giving you a hard time, maybe you say, I think you're right. I have to go now. And then you have more time under the tree. Or, maybe you're trying to help a family member out to a better place. And then you give them a different bit of advice than reacting. There's a bazillion perspectives, but that's why if you go in, you understand your life, you understand why you're even in that interaction. Like Campbell had to know why he was with the elders. The elder has to know why he's with Campbell. Everyone has to know why they're in that situation. Why are you in this store, this home, this house, this room, this job, this interaction with this person or that person? Why? Like really look at the huge picture. Right.
Yeah.
I used to have lots of interactions with a lot of a-holes because I used to be a drinker in my 20s. And then I realized one day, wait a minute, of course I'm hanging out with other, drunken idiots because I'm a drunken idiot, right? It's really that, like, I mean, if you don't go to the bar, you don't drink all night, you don't end up at this party or with that person, you're not going to meet these kind of people, like as if you decide you're going to go jogging that night or you're going to, whatever, cook yourself a healthy meal and just meet with one or two friends. So, you brought yourself to that situation by being who you were. So it's not their fault that they're, drunken, loud, obnoxious idiots. It's your responsibility for having chosen that path that night to end up in that same room, maybe 3 a.m. after you've been drinking all night with these kind of people. So, it's not your responsibility for how they are. Maybe they are, foolish assholes, but why are you there? Why are you even in that room? Like, what brought you in your life? And then why did you start drinking? I mean, you can take this perspective as high back as you go, or what happened in your life that you feel the need to get this stress out? What belief brought you here? What's going on in your body or your relationships or your imagination or your consciousness? This really, goes as high and as deep as you want to take it. And the more you go deeper, in my opinion, the lighter you become, the bigger your perspective, and the easier it is to make intelligent choices.
Yeah. And we see this at the moment with everyone pointing and yelling at the world. Change. What are these people doing? They shouldn't be doing that. Oh my God, let's all get, very offended. And we've, obviously we've seen for the last 3 years, not so much now, but we saw a lot of, gatherings, protests and all this kind of stuff. But what happened? What changed? Like seriously, there was all this movement, all this talk, but the problem is people they weren't willing to do the work on themselves and change who they are. They wanted everyone else outside to change. We need to change the politicians, we need to change the laws, we need to change this, we need to change the banking system, all this kind of stuff. And at the moment there's a big thing about schools. Everyone's like, we need to change the schools, we need to get rid of those teachers. Or you could just take your child out of school. You could find a better school, you could homeschool them. There are options that you can do, and that makes an immediate and effective change. Screaming for the outside world to change doesn't, like I said, look at the results we've had in the last 3 years. And if everyone had have just decided that they no longer want to be ruled and that they're going to rule themselves and that they're going to live more of themselves in a loving way and try and help to bring in this new earth that we all want, we would already be there. But people decided to get out and point instead. And this is the point. If you can't change the outside world, but you can change yourself. And as soon as you change yourself, everything else changes.
I mean, there's always more effort required. So I could hear some of the parents going, but I don't have time to homeschool, or I have to work to have the money. So again, you have to take the perspective further back. Why did you have children? Why are you doing that job? Are you willing to move? Are you willing to live in a smaller house? Are you willing to move are you willing to live, with naked with a straw hat and a leaf covering your private parts, in the jungle, just to make sure your children have a good life if you've had them? What are you willing to do to make sure and to assure that your guts and your intuition and your heart are seeing the reality that is possible? right? If you blame the silly men in a dress or the silly women in pants that are trying to teach your children, how to have animal sex when they're 3, or whatever it is that supposedly I've heard all kinds of nasty things. Sure, you could change, you could fight, you can get into a fisticuffs, the police are going to come, you can, or, as Campbell said, you take your children, it's illegal in Japan to homeschool, supposedly. So you can be sneaky about it. You can leave Japan if you have children in Japan. You can move to an island and feed. I mean, what are you willing to do to be free? I mean, sometimes to get everything, you have to give everything, right? To go fully out, you have to go fully in. And if it takes, dropping your 9 to 5 job, and even, I've chatted with people that have taken off with their children illegally, so to get them away from a bad spouse, right? Somebody, would be my perspective, but I respected this fellow, I won't share any names, obviously, that said, oh my goodness, their mother's crazy. They want to do this, so I'm going to take off. And he ran with the kids for years. And sure, you could say it's illegal. You could say it's bad. You could say it's nasty. But, I firmly don't feel there's anything bad or nasty in following your heart, wherever that takes you. If it's horrible, I mean, in the old days, they used to have bloody fights to make sure that things were all right. And they used to have, the end result is sometimes there really has to be a high level of failure potential for there to be a high level of success. As Jesus would say, the highest level of failure is the failure of your life, let's say. But it doesn't matter, because if you're looking for the ultimate success, by definition, the ultimate failure has to be part of the equation by how you define success and failure.
Yeah. I mean, to me, the ultimate, failure is being on your deathbed going, if only. Only I'd lived more of me. If only I'd been myself. If only I'd gone after the things I wanted. If only I'd smiled more. If only I'd changed the world in a nice way, instead of being, so so threatened by it and by other people. And this is the thing, like, where are we going to end up? So to change the world, you've just got to go inside and change yourself, and that will literally change the reality that you're in. And it may be a journey. We're not saying that if you go out and smile at someone that your whole world is going to suddenly change into this amazing reality. But if you work on it bit by bit, it will get better. And it's really dependent on how willing we are to see our own faults and how we are wrong, because that's all this really comes down to. We've got to see that, we've said it before, it's all your fault, it's all my fault, it's all Lorenzo's fault, right? If you've got a problem, go to a mirror. If you're thinking, why did that person do that to me? My advice is to turn that question around and say, why did I attract that into my life? Yeah. What is my lesson here?
Right? It's true. Campbell and I had, let's say, a stubborn lady in a lot of our chats over the last 6 months. And I used to get angry that, someone wasn't listening and blaming and pointing fingers and deciding, even though the sage advice, let's say, was shared with them, they would ignore it over and over. And, and I got off one of our chats and I said, why that, I started talking, but then I said, wait a minute. How am I like that right now? What am I missing? How is somebody telling me something over and over and over and I'm ignoring it? How am I still blaming? How am I still saying someone else needs to? And I found, some bits for myself, even over the last couple of days. I'm going, oh my goodness, even if it's a matter of bothering my wife when she's doing something, or wanting to go a certain direction when some people are very quiet, and she's very Japanese. And so if she wants something, she won't tell me directly, right? And it's very easy to get your way in this society with some people. And I'm sure everyone has relationships where it's easy for them to get their way. And that's not necessarily the right thing. Right? The right thing is the right thing, whatever that right thing is. And sometimes the right thing, if you love that person, is to hear really what they want, what they're asking for, where they would like to go. And even if they'll give in, just because you can dominate someone means you shouldn't, right? Just because you can beat up a little one means you shouldn't, right? It's your power that you hold inside for whatever you may need. Maybe you'll need it someday to wrestle a bear. Maybe you'll need to make a hard choice with your wife or your friend because they're not good at making hard choices. But, that's also what I mean by understanding, is to see how you're not taking that full perspective in. How when I'm interacting with Campbell, I need to let him learn what he needs to learn. How Campbell maybe sees how he wants to let me learn what I need to learn. For other people, how you can be the big man in the room by allowing them to go first, right? Whoever is the last is the first, Right? Usually the first is the last, right? Are you rushing to the finish line where the big finish line is death? A lot of people are rushing to that finish line. And what do they get? Well, they get the booby prize of dying with a whole bunch of toys. But if you're behind, you get to see everything, right? You can see the world. You can see how everyone's moving. You can see the people in front of you. You can see what's coming and the challenges. So I would say, being last is first, in that you just give everyone else the chance to grow how they need to grow, and you get what you give. So by doing that, you'll get what you need in all your other situations.
Indeed. Yep. And I just say, in life, everyone we meet is both a teacher and a student, and so are we. Everyone's got something to teach us, and we've got something to learn from everyone, and vice versa. So if we treat the world like that, it becomes an adventure. It becomes a lot more fun, and we become, the masters of our own destiny, as they say.
Yeah. And it will keep you young, right? Holding stress, holding anger, holding all these bad, dark emotions gives you unhealthy, energetic whirlpools in your body. I've seen, and I firmly believe if there's something wrong with your body, whatever it is, I've had arm problems, I've had ear problems, Campbell's challenged with his hand, and other people are challenged with whatever, probably means you're holding some sort of stress, you're holding some sort of past pattern, you're holding something that you could untwist, untie, dissolve, forgive, however it is that you need to look at it. And without having to go to someone in a white coat and a stethoscope with 72 pills and 87, scalpels, probably you can figure something out in the very simple way of deciding what it is you've twisted up in your life, let's say, so you can untwist it. Perhaps another practical way of looking at evolution. Maybe I'll take the time here, Campbell, to promote us once again, October 6th, 7th, and 8th. I'll leave the links below. Campbell and I will be at a live event in Port St. Lucie, Florida, Practical Evolution for Life. We may do other events, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Campbell and I have been gifted with a beautiful parcel of land from a very generous man who's got 48 pristine acres, ponds, swimming pool, fruit forest. It's going to be amazing. I don't even know how it happened, but Campbell and I decided with our hearts that we want to share our practical evolution. This fellow came on and decided he wanted to share his practical evolution. So together we have this opportunity to share with some of you in the land of the fountain of youth. Perhaps we'll reignite and reimagine how it is we can stay young forever, or as long as we need to, so that you can have some practical evolution for some practical love and a practical life. And and it'll be fun. Indeed.
Yeah. So if you like the kind of concepts that we talk about, and you think that there's something there for you, and you're close to Florida, or wherever you are on the realm, check out the links below and come and say hello and join us for the weekend.
Yeah, we'd love to see you there. October 6th, 7th, and 8th, Port St. Lucie, Florida. Perhaps we'll see you there. Campbell, thank you so much. This has been amazing. I'll get it up inside out. There'll be a live coming up in a few days on Friday, Saturday, depending where in the realm you are on this topic as well. We'll get that up and the links out to you as soon as possible too. And, like, subscribe, share, support, all those lovely things to allow us to keep allowing you to do what you want to do best, which in my opinion is be free.
And be yourself. All right, guys. Just be.
Just be. I love you very much. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Stay awesome. Bye-bye, fellows and girls and everyone else in the middle.